Now, one of the other ones that we do is as well, and I'll cover this off, is actually what we call a football plan. Now, if you're involved with one of the big clubs on the planet and you're currently playing professional football in the Premier League, great, or in La Liga, yeah, you're probably going to have a football plan at your club. If you're at one of the top academies around the world, there's a good chance you will have a football plan. But you'll be amazed at some of the clubs I've worked with over the years and some of the players I've met with, and they don't even have a football plan. Now, as a player, you wouldn't really need to know, you wouldn't know what or how to set all this up. But what we do is, as part of our program, when we represent you, we actually get you a football plan for you to follow, and it makes you accountable. This is one of the things nowadays, is that a lot of players and families expect everything to be done for them. And the beauty of a football plan, it's a great way for me to feed in information, and then you look at your football plan and then you can go away and work on it. You can then record that information back in through GPS data, through your DNA, through your match analysis. And what it does is everything all points into the football plan. Everything connects into the football plan. So this is one of the great things about having a football plan. All the data all spits into this one place. And this is why we've systematically built this program to help players who are wondering why they can never get a look at from a club. And this is one of the other big things. We get a lot of people who reach out to us and go, Ray, can you represent me as an agent? And I'll go, yeah, I can represent you as an agent. But the first thing I need you to do is come on our program. I need you to start looking at your developments on the pitch. I need to look at things like your match analysis. We need to get a DNA test done. We need to get a GPS tracker on you. And we need to get you on our football plan. 99% of the time, I don't hear back from the player, and they're like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for someone to represent me. I'm really, really good. I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to be really honest with you. I've got players reaching out to me now who are on our program, who are currently playing in some of the top divisions around the world. And the reason why is because they even realize that they're not getting this level of information from their agents or from their clubs, and they want to prolong their careers. So you've got to make sure you don't have it upside down. First, think about developing your football knowledge, develop yourself on the pitch, and then start to worry about all this other stuff. The problem with the old school type of agents as well is an agent will offer to represent a player, and after about 2, 3, 4 years, that player never ever quite make their potential where they should have went, and then the agent just releases them. The agent feels like he or she's wasted their time. You get disappointed as a player, but at no point during that 2, 3, or 4 years has the agent actually gone to the player and gone, wait there, let's actually look at your football knowledge. Let's see if we can develop you on the pitch. And also, let's look at things like match analysis. Let's look at DNA. Let's look at GPS. Let's look at a football plan. And it blows my mind how this doesn't happen. And agents will waste their time and the players' time for 3, 4 years trying to get clubs for them. And actually understanding that actually, if they just invested maybe 20% more time and effort into trying to develop them on the pitch, that would actually get them that opportunity to get that trial at that bigger club. And it is as simple as that. People don't want to believe it, but it is quite simply that simple. Focus on one area, focus on your game, look at some of the things that are affecting your game. Again, like the food and drink that's going into your mouth. Also, are you doing enough? Are you compatible to the players in Europe? Are you compatible to the players in the USA? How do you know that? How do we know that? It's easy. Our GPS tracking system can tell me where you compare against boys and girls of a player of your age anywhere around the world. And how do we get access to this? Because of our amazing partners at Stat Sports, we've got access to that data. I can compare, if you're 14 years of age and you're a boy or a girl, I can compare you to anyone in Europe or England in some of the top clubs. So then straight away, you know, when I'm preparing you via the GPS tracker based off the data that I've got. So I know if you're of a level of those players in Europe or if you're slightly behind. If you're slightly behind, it's a quick correction. We give you a little bit more information in your football plan. Once we give you that information in the football plan, guess what? You're going to get better. And then guess what? You're going to get trials with some of the biggest clubs on the planet. And then guess what? You're going to sign a pro contract. And when you sign a pro contract, we can then start to worry about contracts, sponsorship deals, trademarks, assets, intellectual property, brands, and you name. But we need to reverse engineer this, and everyone starts to need to understand you need to work with an agent who's a world's new super agent who can not only do all this for you, but can help you with your football, develop on the pitch, and give you all these extra areas. Now, there's a couple of other areas that we've missed off, and I'll just go through a couple of other areas. So one of the big things is as well is, and this is a big one, is trials. Now, why this one is so important. I know working in professional clubs for 20 plus years, some agents have got a good reputation and unfortunately some agents have got bad reputations, and I've met some agents who have bad reputations who I actually thought were really good people. And unfortunately, it comes down to that person in the football club, whether they like that agent as a person or not whether they're a good agent or not. And this is one of the areas that I discovered when we look at old agents versus new agents. It's really upside down again because they're seen as like this alien person trying to come in and they're going to cause problems at the club and they're going to try and get the club to pay the player more wages. And yeah, that's the agent's job. But it's the relationship for me just doesn't work. Now, if we think about some of these new world super agents who are coming around and the way I operate is that when I'm looking for trials and opportunities for my players, because I've worked in the game, because I've worked at some of the biggest clubs in the game, when I make a phone call to my clubs, I don't just call up, let's say Leicester City and go, hey guys, I've got a player here, he's from the USA, he's 15 and he's this, this and this. I think he's great, will you have a look at him? 9 times out of 10 they would, just purely because I'm picking up the phone. But there's another reason why they will accept one of my players to go on a trial opportunity to one of the clubs, and it's quite simple. I can actually provide a dossier of information. So when I provide data to clubs, I can say, I've got some match analysis for you with objective feedback, not subjective opinionated feedback. We've tidied up the diet and we know that they're fully optimized. And what that means is that they're recovering properly every day for training because they're not putting in diesel into a car that takes petrol. So we've gone over this, so the very low risk of injury. How many agents can go to a club and go, my player is a super low risk. He's in basically the 1% of being injured out of 100%. I can guarantee that because we've done DNA testing and we know the fuel that going in the body is right. Also, here's some of the GPS tracking data. Now, here's what the stats are for my player. She's 14 years of age. She's from Sydney in Australia. And I've had a look at the data in the Women's and Girls Academy in England, and she's actually outperforming your average players by 6%. How many other agents on the planet can say that? I can through our program. Also, here's a little bit of information from the football plan if you're interested. This is what they've been working on. And this is the real clever bit that I've always done with clubs when I go and negotiate deals or trials for players. I will not hide weaknesses. I will be open and frank with clubs and go, look, this player has got all these amazing things going for them, but also I'm going to let you know, she or he needs to work on these 2 or 3 areas as well. The clubs love it because they know they don't have to waste time when they bring that player in, trying to work out what your weaknesses are over 6 to 8 weeks. So they know straight away, as an example, let's say it is Leicester City, they're not going to waste time trying to fix things that you're already really good at. They can really start to target those weaknesses. And that's the beauty about trials with me and one of the future super agents on the planet. We can give all of this data across to clubs. Now, one of the other big things is as well that we add on is we do monthly Zoom meetings. Now, why this Zoom meeting is so important? Quite simply, I'm on the Zoom calls. Some of my team members are. We have current players, ex-players. We have 12-year-olds. We have 24-year-olds. We have ex-super coaches, current coaches, ex-super players, current super players. Every month, we have a meeting place where everyone gets to meet online and we discuss a topic. As an example, one of the most recent ones, we had someone from West Ham United who's in charge of player care. Very good friends of mine from the UEFA course. We actually talk about the different areas of player care and what's involved in regards to player care. Then after 30 to 40 minutes of that conversation, we then open it up to Q&A. It's an amazing community and it helps players. And believe it or not, even though players are part of a team sport, sometimes they feel very isolated. Maybe they're not getting a lot of game time. Maybe they're not getting looked on favourably by coaches. It's not always roses, guys, when you're at a professional club, and you can feel very alone sometimes. The beauty of our Zoom meetings, it's a monthly touch point that everyone's got something to look forward to. And also it's about giving back as well. Because some of my younger players who are on our programs now, who are 12, 13 and 14, when they go on and make it as one of these superstar players, we want them to stay in our community and they can be that next person that some of our younger players look up to and aspire to be like. So this is one of the big benefits of the Zoom meetings. Now, all of these Zoom meetings are recorded monthly as well. We've got a back catalogue of about 20 of them and they are absolutely phenomenal. I have watched some of them back 4, 5, 6 times over because there's so much learning in there, not just for players, but for mums and dads and for family members, for coaches, including for agents as well. Now, one of the other things that we are going to have a little look at just to finish off as well is in relation to the old school agents and the new school agents, just to finish off, is UEFA agent representation. Now, whether your agent is with UEFA or FIFA, it's important that they hold a qualification to represent you. But this is one of the big things that we do is I've recently just qualified out myself through UEFA to represent players because a lot of the players we look to source come from places like Australia, New Zealand, could be places like the USA and Canada. We look to open up opportunities for players to go into Europe. Also, one of the big things we do is as well, we open up education opportunities as well, because it is important that players do have a plan B and a plan C as they go along. So this is one of the big things. So just to finish off, a lot of people who've never met me before or seen any of our content before, they go, how are you able and how are you so confident on all this? And more so these bottom points here about being involved in football for over 20 years. So just to recap, I'm one of the highest qualified coaches under UEFA. I hold over 26 coaching qualifications. I am also a UEFA ambassador and also a UEFA player agent, fully qualified. But I was very, very fortunate, just for those that don't know, I worked within the Premier League and the English Football Association, and I was at a team called Leicester City for just over 3 years. And during my time at Leicester City, I was very fortunate to work on a project where the Premier League spent £1.6 billion to date on a super project called the EPPP. Now, this project produced players like Lauren James at Chelsea, Reece James at Chelsea, Jude Bellingham, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Phil Foden, Harvey Barnes. There's many, many more players we could go on and talk about, but I was very, very fortunate to work on this project. And in a nutshell, the project was designed to develop the future stars for England. We've got all of that data, all of that information, and included as being on one of them players, we've actually compiled all that information into my book, The Pro Player Pathway. So anyone who is interested in learning more stuff about this, you can go to proplayerpathway.com. You can actually register on there for a scholarship opportunity and to be considered as a player to be represented by me, or you can actually purchase a copy of the book. In the book, I actually go into a lot more detail than what we've covered here, but it actually talks about my 20 plus years, but also it talks about working on this super project where we spent £1.6 billion to date, and we produced some of the world's biggest superstars on that project. So hopefully now, the only question I've got to ask you is, when you're considering an agent to be represented by and you're looking to speak to agents to represent you, are you going to go for an old agent versus a new agent? Who are you going to go for? And remember what we've covered today, guys, in this probably 35 to 40 minutes. Are you going to go with an agent who's a lawyer, an agent who can get you sponsorship deals, an agent who can look after your contract negotiations? Or are you going to go with an agent who can do all of that, but really reverse engineer and actually go, wait there, before we worry about all of this, can I work with an agent who can develop me on the pitch, who's got football knowledge, who understands things like match analysis, DNA testing, GPS tracking, data, can build me a football plan, can open up me trials and can build on a relationship with a club for me. We've got a community of players, whether you're 12 years of age playing SAP football in Brisbane, or you're 24 years of age and you're currently in the first team at Liverpool Football Club. Also, UEFA qualified, FIFA qualified. They're the things that you need to be thinking about. So for me, we've actually reversed engineered the way you should be looking at things. Now, one of the final things to say is, as an agent, normally when you get represented by an agent, that agent will take you on at no cost, and then they'll work out a percentage of future earnings. So then they will say, once I get you to where you need to be, I will take 10% of your salary, 20% of your salary, and then you pay that to your agents on a weekly or a monthly basis. Again, I think you're in a stronger position if you work with one of the new type of agents, where at the beginning you have to spend a little bit of money to get developed in here by me and my team. And that means because you've actually invested a little bit in your own future or in your son or daughter's future, that puts you in a stronger position, because you can go, well, wait there, we've actually paid X amount of dollars over the past 5 years to develop our son and daughter. It puts you in a stronger position then when you're negotiating with the agent to say, well, look, we're not going to give you 20% because we've spent a little bit of money along the way to work with you and we've met in the middle. So we think 10% is a fair take, or 15%. So that's what I want you to think about. Invest in your own future, invest in your son and daughter's future, and don't just think by being in a club, training 3 times a week and playing a game of a weekend is going to be enough, because it's not. And just by being with a football agent is enough. One of the things I want you to challenge and question is, if you're with an agent, are they qualified with UEFA or FIFA? Okay. Anyone can really reach out to lawyers and get contracts done for you. But one of the questions I'd be asking is, when you look at legalities for my son or daughter, or for me as a player, are you looking at things like securities, stocks, bonds, investments? Are you looking at trademarks and assets? Are you looking at my intellectual property? Are you looking at my brand? And are you looking at my name? Are you looking at things like real estate for me? Are you looking at building properties and portfolios and assets for me? And if not, why not? But some of the big things I would be looking at as well is, can they do this football element for you? And remember, as a player, imagine if you're 28, 29 years of age and your game's gone down a little bit. Normally what happens is, if your contract's coming to an end, the club will just sell you or get rid of you. And then you'll end up going down in divisions in football. And 9 times out of 10, once you start to go down, normally the agents just wash the hands of you as well and get rid of you. And again, that's an old school agent. A new school agent, there's no way I'm going to do that, quite simply because it's in my interest to make sure I'm constantly developing you on the pitch, because that means you're at the top of your game. And if I've looked after all of this for you, when the time comes to it and your career does come to an end, you will have had all these different investments and different areas looked after, that you can then actually choose what you want to do with your life after football. Do you want to stay in the game? Do you want to be a coach? Do you want to be a TV pundit? Do you want to give back to charity? Do you want to set up, or do you want to become an agent yourself? So these are some of the things you need to think about. So hopefully now, after watching this episode, and I encourage everyone to watch it back again, old school agent versus a new school agent, okay? Personally, for me, if it was for my son or daughter, I would be looking for one of the new modern day agents, because one of the biggest things that we have is time, and we're all against time. Have you got time to trust by giving your son or daughter, or yourself as a player, to an agent who's only worrying about this bit, sponsorships and contracts? Or are you going to work with a super agent who's also trying to develop you constantly on the pitch as well, and is going to keep you at the top of your game? So just a final reminder, guys, you can go to www.proplayerpathway.com, and there's a little look of my book, and you can purchase the book. Now, anyone who purchases the book at the moment as well we're offering a sponsorship worth $10,000. That's right, $10,000. So anyone who purchases the book, I'm going to sponsor you as a player. Okay, it's for boys and girls aged 8 years of age all the way through to 23. What does the $10,000 sponsorship include? It basically includes me giving you access to 2 of our programs to get you onto the first ladder to developing you on the pitch. Once you've gone through the 2 programs, if everything's gone well, you will then receive an invitation to join me on a meeting, and you'll be given an opportunity to work with me further. Am I going to open up clubs and contracts for you to teams like Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona? No, not straight away. What I am going to do is actually assess you as a player. I'm actually going to get things done like match analysis, DNA, GPS, put a football plan together. And then once I'm confident and I know where your stats and data are, then I'll start to open up trials. Then we'll start to look at legalities for you. Then we'll start to broker contracts. And then we'll start to look at some of those big, mega, multi-sponsorship deals with some of the biggest sporting brands on the planet, like Nike, Adidas, and Puma. Guys, a big thank you for joining me today. This is going to be a new feature for 2025. We're going to be coming live on TikTok, and these episodes are recorded as well and are going to be posted on YouTube. So anyone who's watched on TikTok today, if you go to The Raymond's Wood, and I'll try and put it up here for you. So my name is The Raymond's Wood. And if you go to The Raymond's Wood on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram and all of our social platforms, you will actually find me on there. So you can go to YouTube. It'll be uploaded within the next 24 hours. Our new episodes are going to go on there once a week. We're hoping to do 2 lives on TikTok a week like this. And if anyone's got any questions in football as well, feel free to post them in the TikTok or onto the comments on YouTube. And any of the really good, important questions that keep popping up, we'll make a note and we'll actually do a recording and we'll make an episode for you. So a big thank you to everyone. We hope you're well. If you are currently here in Brisbane, Australia today, it's 36 degrees. Stay out of the sun and the heat and stay in the cool and the air conditioning like me. And wherever you are in the world, guys, we hope you have a great Saturday. Stay safe, and I'll be back with our next episode very soon.